What's happening, Pimp Sauce?
Pimp sauce. Okay. Here we start. Listen here. I call your house to check in on you, check on you all the time, and all I see is black comedians all the time. All I see is my niggas that we came up with, and they all hang at your house. They all love you.
You know.
So I want to dig into that and dig into you, because I don't know if all of my audience knows all the stuff that you've done. Because they're like, you became this giant. And like Bernie Mac became a giant, and Chris Tucker became a giant, and Martin Lawrence. You became a giant, and you built your own lane. So I just want to hear some about how you started. And our history, whatever comes to your mind.
Well, I know our history. I don't know if you know our history, but I know our history.
Does that mean you want to change this?
I like that you're taking notes live.
I can't hear. I hear him, but yeah, you say hello to Buster.
It's like you have Indonesian Wi-Fi or something.
I do. What's wrong with that? See, that's racist. What does that mean? I have great Indonesian Wi-Fi.
Well, you're in Indonesia, so you got Indonesian Wi-Fi.
Yeah, but no, you said it like as if it was less.
No, see, that's how you took it.
Americans say stuff all the time. Guess what I got? I could walk out my house, go in the walk out the forest, and then I'll to the 24-hour health center. And they'll give me a COVID test in 4 or 5 minutes. And it'll cost me $6.
I know.
You got that?
The rest of the world has figured it out. America's still trying to figure out how to benefit from this.
Well, we have arrogance. Our arrogance all over Asia. People are valuing lives over economy, and by doing that, their economies are starting up. Economies are exploding in some cases, and America is still suffering because of the greed. I think that's a big part of why America is where it was. It is because of greed.
Well, listen, I'm from Canada originally, so I understand how to be an outsider and an insider, and then traveling the world and going to places like Indonesia and Thailand and the rest of Asia, Singapore, Malaysia.
They were already upset about the mic. They wanted me to have a special mic because they already said that the audio was not good. You know that. Okay. So you spoke to them, right? In LA. Mm-hmm. The people who are going to be distributing the podcast, they want good sound. So now we have nothing. Should I not have this on?
Unfortunately, there is something trouble with the Bluetooth connection.
Something with the Bluetooth connection.
Yeah, connection.
Oh, that's what you need. Hardwire.
Use this properly?
Yes, I will pick up.
Russ, if it ain't hardwire, don't use it because the Bluetooth gets interrupted.
That's why they want a mic. That's why they want a hand. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I'm just all rehearsal. I'm learning. Hey, Russell. So tell me our first experiences. I don't know it.
Okay, so my first interaction and experience with you is back in 1985 in Toronto. I was
born in 85?
1985.
You were alive in 1985?
I'm 50 years old. Yeah, I've been around. I was 14 and a half years old, and I went to go see Run DMC at the concert hall in Toronto. And that's when they only had the first album out. King of Rock hadn't come out yet. But the Spin magazine article had come out. And I read it, and I saw your picture in it. And I was standing at the concert watching, and I saw you, and I said, hey, aren't you Run's brother? And you went, yeah. You want to meet him? And I was like, yeah. You had no reason to be that nice to me. I didn't have any drugs or nothing to give you. You were just being a genuinely nice human being. And
did you get me drugs and no?
Huh?
Did you get me drugs and
no.
You give first and then you receive.
Yeah. You had. I had nothing to offer you.
Oh, that's nice.
And that's
I don't know why I did that. That's not my normal nature.
Well, that's as I'm learning from knowing you this long now.
Russell, that experience, meeting you that way, is one that, of course, it was not memorable for me because I wasn't a 14-year-old kid,
right?
And but it's a great experience because it's a great story for me because it reminds me that sometimes I was nicer, that I wasn't always.
I've never seen you be a.
Oh.
I've heard about it, but I've also never done real business with you. People are different when you're doing business with them.
Well, I don't have any bad business history, or not very much. So it's always better to give at least as much as you're going to receive, and that way you keep getting. So I was always a pretty good giver in business, so I don't have any lawsuits and stuff like that to really tout as, you know, fighting for money or fighting for stuff. Because if you're giving people stuff, they're going to give you stuff back. Or they disappear, and then they run away with the little stuff.
Well, even if you give somebody something, if they don't give it back to you, the universe will send it back to you somehow.
That's right. That's right. So tell us, you know, more than how you met me. That's a good story, but really, let's go back to Def Comedy Jam.
Okay, that's 2007.
Good memory. I don't even know. Okay.
It was 2007. DL Hughley. It was the reboot, and DL Hughley was hosting it.
Yeah.
Which made me feel comfortable because DL and I are good friends, and I used to be his opening act in England like 10 years before that.
Really?
Yeah, so we knew each other relatively well, and as you know, DL's a great guy, and I really feel like DL's one of the great minds of this generation too. He really knows how to articulate what's happening in the world right now in a way that crosses financial lines. And I say financial lines because the financial lines are almost the same as the color lines.
Yeah. The suffering is in the underserved communities, not, you know, there's some people, they may experience some, like as a brown person, you may experience some racism, but then you can just, you know, you can rain on them. You know what I mean? You got money, and you're able to escape some of the things that happen to people who are brown. But financial lines, go ahead.
So we were doing that, and I met you again that day. I actually did go to a party you had in 96 or 97.
How do you remember these dates?
Because I never did drugs.
I did a lot of drugs. I don't remember a lot of these. The party I had, well, I wouldn't remember.
The party you had, 1996 and 1997, it was in Bel Air, or in Beverly Hills, somewhere around there at a mansion. And it was a pre-party for the second reboot of Def Jam.
Oh.
And Kid Capri was DJing on the tennis court, and everybody was there. I don't know how I got in or how I got invited, but I got there. Nobody knew who I was at that point either, but I got a picture of you that night. I got a picture of so many people that night. And it's funny because all the people who I took pictures with, I ended up becoming friends with many years later. Got a picture of me and Keenan Ivory Wayans. I sent that to him. He goes, when the hell was this picture taken? Like 96, 97. And he's like, I can't believe that. I go, yep. And, you know, I think matter of fact, I don't know how I got there, to be honest with you, but I was there and it was dope. And it was like my first Hollywood experience. And I remember the helicopters came and shut it down.
I don't remember any of this, but listen, you know, your humility and your stories about all, you know, I said he's one of the most beloved. Before you got on, I said you're one of the most beloved people in the comedy community. That always, I call his house, there's always somebody, you know, I call my man Leon, JB Smooth. I couldn't think of his name earlier. No, that's the drugs. So I said, you have all these friends, you know, I mean, I call Cedric the Entertainer's there or someone's there. And then also hip hop people. He's a fan of the culture and how he creates culture. Like, my man Davey D from Howell's Queens is at his house. Like, how'd you get Davey D at your house? Or,
you know,
all the B-boy breakers. Tell me a little bit more about you being a fan, but then I want to hear your journey as a comedian. Because that's really the thing that, because it's interesting that he's such a fan, because I think that's the nucleus of his culture, him able to recreate culture. Go ahead.
It really is. It's hip hop is the reason I am the person I am today, because it gave me an identity. So hip hop came to me in the form of b-boying, breakdancing, and my brother was DJing back in the 70s and 80s. So he was playing a lot of funk and disco, and then from funk and disco we ended up getting, you know, hip hop, because we weren't calling it hip hop at the time. We didn't know it was called rapping, really. I mean, but my brother was playing, you know, Curtis Blow and Jimmy Spicer and the Evasions and all those kind of cats. And so I knew it all. I knew all that stuff. I knew Super Rhymes and all that stuff before I even knew that it was hip hop. And I knew I liked it, but I didn't know what it was that I liked. Then b-boying came along.
Where you? Where in Canada? Where in Canada were you?
Brampton, Toronto, just outside Toronto.
Okay.
And So I was listening to all this stuff, and then I was breakdancing, and the music was the soundtrack to the b-boying. So I always credit Crazy Legs for being
Crazy Legs.
Crazy Legs is kind of the reason I'm such a hip hop head, because from there it led me to the music. And then in '85, when b-boying kind of died down, I got into DJing because I still wanted to hear this music. Well, but I was already, and before that, you can understand, it was the '80s, so you were buying records anyway. So when people are like, I started buying records in '85, no, you didn't. You started buying records way before that. You just didn't know you were going to use them for DJing.
Right. Well, you did. I see you on your live all the time DJing. And like, as every comedian, Dion Cole is a DJ. A lot of you guys are DJs.
Well, I think Dion's new to it. I mean, I started in '85. I used to battle
like,
stuff.
Put an end in that. He's new, not me.
Yeah, no, I'm in it for life. You know, I used to tear up my fingers in the trunk of my car DJing. You know, Lord Finesse lives with me here at the house.
Lord Finesse lives with you?
Yeah, he stays for the most 90% of the time. He's here.
Where were you in Beverly Hills?
No, I'm in the Valley now. But yeah, Lord Finesse is downstairs as we speak. I'll call him up here if you want.
But why is he there?
I don't know. Just get out of New York. You know, he doesn't want to be in the boogie down in the winter.
You're a very generous spirit.
You know, and funny you should.
But for anyone in general, Davey D has the greatest time when he sees you. He told me that.
Davey D called me last night at like 1:30 in the morning. Literally 1:30 in the morning. I go, Davey, I'm sleeping, and he had like a talk box, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." I'm like, Dave, what the fuck is wrong with you? And he was like, "Ha, man, sorry to wake you."
They don't know Lord Finesse or Davey D. Davey D and Lord Finesse are two of the great DJs from hip hop, from early hip hop.
Why don't you tell them who Run DMC's first DJ was?
Davey D.
That's right.
Dave cut the record to the bone, and now they got me rocking on the microphone. We talking about that. Anyway, Davey D was there before Jam Master Jay, and Davey D made his own records and started his own career, and Jam Master Jay came along, and that's what happened.
But you know what I learned recently was that Jam Master Jay was never signed to their deal, so that's why he was never on the album covers.
Well, but more than that though, they split the money 3 ways anyway.
No, I mean, I knew Run and D would take care of him, but I just found that out. I was like, well, that's really whack that the label, so they couldn't put him on the album covers. That's why on the third album.
Labels, he became their partner from a business standpoint, but the label, we were never going to sign Jay to them, and they didn't want to, and they would, you know, I shouldn't say, I don't want to get in a lawsuit with them today.
Does Profile even exist today, really?
No, but there's an individual there who probably would, I mean, they really were very litigious. And we went through a lot of stuff with them, and a lot of the proceeds that should have gone to Joey and D and J never got there.
Look, and I don't know one Profile artist that still has money to this day.
They made their money on their logo and their touring, but it was a very difficult experience.
I was just listening to Pumpkin and the All Stars the other day.
Oh, well, you have a lot of knowledge of hip hop. We can go find a bunch of other hip hop historians, but none of them have, you know, can sell out Madison Square Garden. I wanted to talk to you about your career, and most of the people on here like fascinated by your history of hip hop and also your knowledge. Literally, he knows more about hip hop than I'll ever know, and I was in it. He was more of a fan, understood the artists, when we talk about it, he and I can talk about this for hours. I want to hear, how did you become, and I don't, you know, we don't know a lot. And I want more people to see, and I'm going to put some of your comedy up. I'm going to keep putting in between some of your comedy because you built such a big following. You have so many people that love you. And I just want to make sure that people who listen to me, anybody would know who you were.
Well, for me, so here's what happened. I started doing stand-up in 1989. I was 19 years old, and I didn't have any ideas of, I had no delusions of grandeur when I started. It was literally just like, I'm going to try this because I like making people laugh. I like seeing happy looks on people's faces. So all I really was trying to do was just make people laugh and enjoy my comedy. And it didn't occur to me at the time that I was the first Indian guy. it only occurred to me maybe about a year and a half in when my dad said, son, this is not the world our people are in. And I go, what does that mean? He said, comedy is stand-up comedy. We're not in that. That's for blacks. That's for whites. That's for Jews. That's their art. And I go, well, doesn't that tell you that there's a hole in their art? And I decided at that point I was going to fill that void. And I ended up very unwittingly became the voice for the voiceless. And it surpassed Indian people. It went past Indian people. It went to Chinese people. It went to the rest of Asia. It went to people from Eastern Europe. It went to anybody who felt they weren't fairly represented in this industry. I somehow struck a chord with them.
That's phenomenal. That's a great story. I tried to say that earlier, but not quite as eloquent. Not even nearly as eloquently as you did. He represents the voice of the voiceless. That's what you did, and you built this huge following of people who saw it themselves in you, and they were locked out or had not been represented at all, you know, in the comedy community. And so Def Comedy Jam was the place to put you on because we were really the voice of semi-voices. A lot of black comedians, but
well, that's it.
America didn't give us a break.
Listen, when I first heard Def Jam in 1992, when Def Comedy Jam rather, my brother was living in Florida at the time, and he recorded it on the cassette for me because he didn't have a VCR. And he recorded it and sent me the cassette. And I remember listening to that going, and I was 3 years in my comedy career then. And I remember listening to that going, oh my God, there's so much more I can be doing. There's so much more I can be saying. I didn't know you could be this free. And Joe Torre was really one of the guys that really triggered that in my head. And Joe and I are really good friends. You know, he comes over and we smoke cigars together.
Everybody's a good friend. But go ahead, Joe Torre.
So I always credit Joe for that. For that trigger.
Joe Torre. I'm going to say whoever don't know comedy. Joe Torre and his brother Guy Torre. But go ahead.
And so Def Jam really changed my world, and it became something I really wanted to be on. I was like, I had got to be on Def Comedy Jam. And then what did it end around 95? 94, 95, it ended for a minute. And then you
don't know which that year was. Go ahead.
And then you brought it back around 96, 97, and then it went away again. And then I got in on its third incarnation in 2007.
Jeez, we did so many. We did over 100 episodes, and we did even up till 3 years ago. We did it. So we did a lot of Def Comedy. I'm Def Comedy. I love to see new voices. You know, the last time I did it, Russell, I'll just tell you, the last time I did Def Comedy, you know, I'm still into like these heavy voices, right? You know, mostly the darkest, and the comedians who are working at All Def Digital are like, and they were like nerdy. They're nice guys, but they were nerdy. Their jokes were nerdy. They weren't as, you say open. They weren't as raw at all. And it's like, this is what's going on. And that really is what's going on online, on like All Def Digital, what we were doing. But there was still this huge following. Of course, Kevin Hart, and Cat Williams, and of course, Dave Chappelle, and of course, you, and of course, you guys are the leaders still, no matter what they're delivering. But I guess there's some nerds going to be stars soon, right? They ain't get there. I used to yell at my staff this argument. That's why I'm saying it like I'm talking to the team of creatives.
Well, no, here's the thing. It's like
out of touch.
This younger generation has realized that nerds have the money. And our generation shit on nerds. Our generation was like, yeah, we ain't no goddamn nerd. We're too cool. Well, we realized the guys that were too cool weren't making all the money. And the younger generation was like, hey, you know what? The cool guys are real and they're not paid. Let's put our nose to the grindstone and figure this money out. And they did.
Oh, that's what it is. Well, All Def Digital had some great comedians, and they're amazing, the people who did in-house stuff, but they weren't necessarily all nerds, but they were just not as raw as what Def Comedy. And they used to be angry when I would book, you know, the people I put on Def Comedy. I'd put, you know, some of the older comedians as anchors. They would get the best response too. But people didn't like that, you know. They wanted to see something else. So they kicked me out of the business in that regard. Like my creative was to manage creatives, not to be creative anymore. And that kind of hurt my heart.
Well, no,
I'm corny.
I think my generation at least, appreciated the generation before us. and we studied the generation before us, and we valued the generation before us, and we admired the generation before us. I think the younger generation now looks at us and goes, all right, you had your shot, move it, but let us in. And there is sort of a dismissiveness that happens with that. And I always say, you don't look, a tree doesn't exist without the roots. You're just a leaf at that point. You can chop down that tree, but the roots are still there. So don't start blowing smoke up your own ass when you need to understand how that tree grew. And you need to go back and do the knowledge. And that's the same thing with hip hop nowadays. People are like, oh, well, the old school is dead. And I'm like, that may be to you, and that may be to a lot of people, but I don't care what they're rapping about. As long as they know the history of it, then fine. Understand what this thing was and what it came from. Then go ahead and talk about taking drugs and strippers. That's up to you. But as long as you understand the roots of the tree, go and branch off from there.
That's an excellent thing to take from you, because all of the core comedians that made it big, all of the Chris Tuckers and Martin Lawrence and Jamie Foxx and Cynthia Taylor and Russell Peters and Bernie Mac, all of you guys really had a rich history, cultural history. And you knew it, you understood it, the way you talk about hip hop and your understanding of hip hop. That's what, I mean, of course, there's a lot of young people who do value the adults. I mean, young people look up to you. Of course, you're the reason they exist if they're brown and they're not black. If they're brown and they're not black, you're like, wow, like you're the voice for all those voiceless people. They have to see you. If they don't see you, they don't have to follow. You're the roadmap.
I mean, there's this thing, I think there's this pride thing where they don't really want to give you your props because they want to make it seem like they're the first one. And you're like, no, dude, I was doing it before you were born. You got to understand, you can still come in and kill the game and become the biggest star in the world, but I need you to tip your hat to me when you see me.
Before I put a foot in your ass. You need
I'm also that guy too. That's the problem. I'm like, really? That's why you want to play this? I'm like, I'm not from your generation. We'll whoop your ass.
Russell, you really, I mean, I was trying to explain to them the enormity of your audience, because they all know you. They've seen you. They know Russell Peters was on Def Comedy. They know that, they see your name in lights, but they haven't all seen your shows. I'm going to keep cutting back to the funny stuff that will inspire them. But it's for me, the broadening of your footprint. That's why we're talking. And your footprint's pretty big. I see you riding around your Rolls Royces, and now you got big houses. I know you're generous to all those, like what you said about the hip hop community, the way you love and remember and cherish their contributions. That's special. That's what you're telling young people to do. You're doing it by example. But you're telling young people, you're doing that. You're doing the help. I mean, you're doing it.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, without hip hop, I would have had no identity. It literally gave me an identity. You can understand, I'm a first generation immigrant kid. My parents are from India. This is not something that, we're supposed to be involved in. There's black people in India, but they're Indian. Do you know what I mean? Like, so to be around the black community from the age of 4, and that's all I understood and all I knew, because they were the only ones that weren't picking on me, weren't beating me up, they weren't being racist with me. We were all equals. We were hanging out the same way. So my whole life was just that. And then hip hop gave me this identity, a way to walk, a way to talk, a way to identify myself. It made me a part of something. So without hip hop, I always feel like, I don't know who I would be today. Never mind comedy. Without hip hop, who would I be today?
Well, that's a hell of a testimonial, because I think a lot of people, culture is their core. Everything from there. I mean, their spirit is touched by culture. Yogis have nada yoga, right? Sound and music and these things help to inspire. What brings you to presence? Because that's where your creativity comes, when you're present. So when Lord Finesse record play, it stops everything and brings you home. And that's where your creativity comes from.
Right.
So that's why you're who you are. Like you said, that touched you. That's beautiful. That's a hell of a testimonial. Russell, I'm going to come with you soon. I was going to come now, but you guys don't look, it doesn't look so good over there.
I wouldn't rush over here.
Yeah, there's a lot of planes to get there too. I was going to go there and then go to St. Bart's, but you know, the travel alerts, you know, say why, right? Not a lot of COVID here. But I do. My kids just left, so it's not so bad. I really don't miss nobody but my kids, and I don't.
Yeah,
so
I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
Did you build those villas yet, by the way?
I built the Snoop Dogg villa is finishing now. That's like the giant, because you know what? I have a 5-bedroom house and building a hotel. The hotel is gonna be for yogis and stuff, so it's, you know, it's gonna be nice. But when Russell Peters and Snoop come, it's not super luxury. It's luxury, but it ain't super luxury. You know. So it's the rooms are probably $150 a night, which is high as hell here, right? Very expensive. But no, that's very expensive here. But they're nice. But still, the Snoop Dogg suite is for Russell Peters. So one room, there's 2 rooms. So that way, I know Snoop. I put him in the Ming Lee suite because I have Ming Lee and Yoki rooms.
For your daughters?
I have 5 bedrooms here. Yeah. So Ming and Yoki have 2 rooms. But I think Snoop put his feet out, stretch out. He would go to the 4 Seasons. And I don't want my friends to leave, so I built a house. That'll be finished soon, very soon. Soon enough you could come. If you got on a plane now, the house will be finished when you got here.
Okay. Well, you know, listen, I'm going to come out there.
You come here at the best time of your life. And because you have such a great Asian audience, you can branch out from here. I'll take you to Singapore, where I'm sure they love you.
Oh, Singapore's great to me.
Well, see, that's my main office is in Singapore. I don't know why we're not making money with my Gush Cloud company. We should. I don't understand why we're not making money for him. That's what we do. We make money for Americans who don't have the proper representation. I know you do all over the world because but I still don't know why we don't have more.
I mean, listen.
Right, we can find you money. We can find everybody money. We find money for a lot of American stars in Asia.
Like if I wanted to complain, I could say the mainstream media ignores me. But
you can complain. It's
true.
You know
what? I don't
because they ignore brown people and they let black people, but because they get together and make a cultural statement, they get to say a few words edgewise.
Well, they also
get
the disingenuous brown people who are for the times and that fake woke, and that doesn't jive with me because I keep it real 100% of the time. So for you to come at me with, oh yeah, but you know, we need to come together with black people. Where were you for the past 50 years? You weren't with them then. Now you're with them. Get the out of here. Unless you've had killers come to your house, stay with you, and offer to kill people for you, you ain't really been down like that.
Kill people for you. Well, let me see. This probably Wi-Fi. Althea, I'm doing this thing with my man here. Can you see him? Do you know who that is? Althea, she's the CEO of the company. Do you know how famous he is all over Asia? How much have we made him? How much money have we made him?
Sorry?
How much? Can you see that man? That's Russell Peters.
Oh, hi.
Hi, Althea.
Russell, you're not showing me the video. That's the problem.
What video do you want to see?
Oh, it's me. Wait, let me see.
Yeah.
The point is, look, Althea, that man there, that man there, that's our friend. We got to make him some money.
Yes, I agree. 100%.
Come back with some offers for him. He's Russell Peters. He's huge. And and then he's so beloved. He'll help your American business grow.
Yes. He's good majorly across Asia Pacific.
You're what? He's what?
He has taught a lot in Asia Pacific.
Well, if you know he's taught extensively in Asia, then let's make him some money while he's sleeping in America. That's what he really would like to see.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. I love you. Bye. So that's the CEO of the company, Gush Cloud. I told you about it, but they didn't do it for you.
I mean, I think there were
a lot of Americans.
I think we should revisit, basically.
Well, yeah. Who you have one of those managers that work for you that run around and do what you say? We'll
no, my manager is my brother.
So what does that mean? Is that good or bad?
He's actually my older brother. So my brother's a little protective sometimes. So he's always leery of people trying to take advantage. So, you know, it's like, no, I know that, but I'm saying it's like if you remember, do you manage Danny? Do you know what I mean?
No.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, I don't manage my brother. Yeah, I used to manage my brother though, and I was pretty protective.
Yeah, I mean, you understand it. Well, I mean, I saw Crush Groove again last night, so I know that you You and Run fell out
That's it.
because you wanted to bring Sheila E. I mean, I get it. I get it.
Oh God, I haven't seen that. I saw it not that long ago to show somebody, but I left the room a lot. After I came in, she was smiling and looking at me like, "Wow, finally get laid." No,
You were in it though, because I saw you in one.
yeah,
scene.
I played a
This was
role.
right
I looked
there.
like I was gonna die of old age back then, 40 years ago, whatever it is. Let me see, 1984. What is that?
36 years ago.
36 years ago in Crush Groove, I looked like I was gonna die of old age. It's amazing. The cocaine. I always say it's the vegan diet. I mean, the vegans say that. Pre-vegan, post-vegan. No. Pre-cocaine, post-cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's the pre-coke, post-coke.
Yeah, or pre-sober, post-sober. Whatever. Point was, I looked up, and Blair Underwood played me. Horrible. This handsome played me every place I went. They'd be like, "Where's Russell?" I'm Russell. Every place I went. Same story. Where's Russell? But then eventually he got off my neck and I was able to go out. I met this girl, Sherry Headley, saved my ego. She came to Crush Groove to the movie looking for Blair and I ended up with her. She broke my heart, but became the woman from Coming to America. She totally crushed my whole heart. And we're friends today. I still love her. She's still beautiful. Most beautiful girl in the world.
That's a good
Sherry,
thing.
Coming to America, remember? Right?
Which one was she in Coming to America?
She was the girl, the lead.
The fine one.
Fine as.
The one he wanted. The one McDowell's daughter.
That's right.
Oh yeah, she was bad.
When she left me right before that movie, and I thought she dated Eddie Murphy, whatever, but you know, it broke my heart. But I got her from before Blair Underwood because she came looking for him, I think, to Crush Groove. And then she had this amazing career. She's a beautiful mother and wonderful person today. But that was an experience. Why did I tell you about that?
Because we were talking about pre-coke, post-coke.
Oh, yeah. Blair Underwood, handsome Blair. Blair revisited me later. I fell in love with an Australian woman, a very famous actress. And I was in love. I remember laying in her bed in her house. She had a beautiful bedroom. Very successful all over the world. Not as much in America, but she has an Emmy. Her name was Melissa George. And she won an Emmy for this show that she was on, In Treatment. And Blair was the therapist. And so we're laying in bed, and you know, he's handsome as still, this 30 years later. This nigga's running up in my girl on the screen while I'm laying in. And he's going to haunt me till I die.
Yeah.
So anyway, it was, you know, only TV, but it was enough to make me traumatized again and relive the entire experience of pretty ass Blair Underwood.
So he played you, and then he played you.
He played me, and then he played me. That's a funny story. Anyway. Running from the cold weather, two icons. Oh, at least your fans on here, like, oh my God, Lord Finesse was dope. It's all about you, Gordon Lord.
You see who's in here? You got Lord Finesse and your granddaddy IU, Buck Wild. You got a lot of hip hop people in here.
On here right now. Now. I love that. I would say that you're so beloved by so many people. All the comedians, all the old school hip hop artists, all who know you know that you genuinely love their art and their work, and that inspires them. That's why they love you, because you love them. And you've been so genuine in so many of them. Like when I realized your relationship with Davey D, and I started to look at all the relationships you have, say this is a person, because most artists, you know, are a little self-centered, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't that. It was like you were interested in them, and you transmitted culture because they inspired you, and you knew where it came from. People don't know where they steal it. They know from their heart. But what touched their heart to give it to them? And it was hip-hop for you and those fans and those black comedians. So now you're giving it back to the entire brown world that didn't have comedians. You gotta,
you just want to, I gotta let people know that you can be you. You don't have to fit in anybody's box. And the best part about being you, you're the only you. Unless you're granddaddy IU, then you're IU. Hey, Bumpy Knuckles is in here.
Oh.
You know, Bumpy and I are brothers like that.
I love that. I love that you go back, and you know what? It's not these people. I don't have any. I know everyone, but I don't not everyone, I know a lot of people. But all my friends I came up with from my hood, and irregardless of where they are today with their career, those are my friends. And everybody else is just kind of successful people that I have to interact with as part of my business, or that I love as well, and I respect their journey. I think that when you get with real people, then there's an honest exchange, and it's very good for your spirit. A lot of famous people, if you know, they hang together, which is okay, but they hang together. They date together, mostly, and they live together in a way that's kind of exclusive, in a bubble. And then they empower each other, or they enable each other, and they get kingitis, and they treat the world poorly. Yeah, and they do it, and they feed each other a kind of a narcissism that stars get. And the thing you're lacking is any of that narcissism. You have humility, and you're a beautiful person for that. Your humility. I mean, I see that in the way that you have your relationships. You don't need to be fed more poison. You're already King Russell Peters. You're already a giant star. So you don't need the feeding of your ego. You have people who are genuine, who inspire you. Anyway, that's my take. What do I know?
I mean, no, you're not wrong. I mean, I always say, people like, you need therapy, or like when people go for therapy, I'm like, therapy is just all about becoming honest with yourself. It's about accountability. That's all therapy is. So for me, I don't think I ever need therapy, because I'm fully aware of everything. I've made mistakes. I know where I made them, when I made them, how I made them, why I made them. I felt the regret from it, and I took that and moved on. And for the same notion, I'm aware of things that changed my personality or made me a certain way. Oh, Russell, you were a womanizer. Well, I can't say that I wasn't, but I had reasons for these certain things, and I'm not saying they're valid or
exactly. I'm not saying they're valid. I did them. I had reasons, but they weren't necessarily valid. Yeah. We've been socialized. We've made a lot of mistakes. Yeah. The fact that you take ownership of them. We talk about this whole thing I went through and said, you take ownership. If I had a nickel for every person I disappointed, I'd be richer than Dr. Dre. Every girl I disappointed, I had a nickel for them. Because, we were socialized to be a certain way. Like you said, you can't say you weren't a womanizer. Of course you were in the culture. You look at what people are doing. Look at Boomerang. Think about what we came up with. Mm-hmm. But the world's evolving. So at least in that, the young people have something new to look at, new templates and new ideas. So anyway, that's one of the things I grew from, learning, about the past and learning from struggle and you probably have a lot of, not probably, no one has them if they don't recognize them. Those learning experiences. Yeah, you got to be aware of things. You can't point the finger at other people when things go wrong in your life. You are responsible for your life. I know. Here's the thing. As far as one of the mantras I live by is, I'm responsible for what I say, but I'm not responsible for how you take in that information. Yeah, you can't be responsible for what people think about you. It's your daily action that will inform them over time if they misunderstand you. Yeah. And if they don't like what you represent, it's hard to make everyone like your truth. Right. You can't do it. You can't. So, people, they keep asking me what I think about the vaccine. I still, I don't know, really. I think that I would take one in front of everybody, because I lost so many friends. Right. I lost so many friends. I lost 14 or 15 friends to COVID because of the pre-existing health conditions that they have. And here I am. I don't have any pre-existing health conditions. No, because you're a healthy guy now. Right. So, but I prefer to tell people first to build your immune system. Take care of yourself. And that way, if COVID comes, it goes. Right? And if other things come, they go. But if you have clogged arteries in your heart, or dementia is also another clogged artery, or if you have diabetes, or if you have all of these things up, and I would say are caused by animal product. Every one of them. Well, cancer. Be on that. All of them. So that's the #1 cause. I know you probably eat it, but so I'm going to try to get people to find new fun. When you come here, you with me, I'm taking you to this is vegan Disneyland, nigga.
Listen,
This is vegan.
and here's the thing with me. I enjoy vegan food, but I can't just be a vegetarian ISIS member like you are.
I'm not an ISIS member. That's why I named my other book The Happy Vegan. But
no, I say that vegans are like are the ISIS of vegetarians.
Well, listen. First of all, as an Indian, I know an Indian girl who was vegan. Her family was vegan. You know, it was. I realized there's a lot of vegetarians in India.
Yeah, there's not a lot of vegans in India.
Right, but she stopped and she came. But it was this whole discussion of dairy, you know, and how sick it is, how the manufacturing of the lives that suffer so much to create. Nothing works. You can eat beef and it'd be terrible, and you know there's a comic result and the rest. But dairy, what they do to dairy, it's unbelievable. When you watch, it's like, oh, terrific, and that suffering is in you to some degree. I don't like to threaten people, or be a Nazi, but you know, unconscious behavior on the part of human beings is, you know, there's slavery, there's apartheid, there's Rwanda, what happened over in not Russia, but you know, it's all kind of here, genocide everywhere. And so just because people are doing it doesn't mean it's okay. And the suffering of animals is beyond anything that any Bible, Quran, Torah, or anybody would speak. The Torah, they were vegan. The suffering of animals is a real thing. And never mind that, all of the things that are Corona, everything Corona got here from, all of it has something to do with the abuse of animals, including #1 cause of climate change. The #1 cause is cows. You know that, right?
So the methane, right?
The #1 cause of global warming, just so we can eat cancer. So it's unconscious behavior. I've been beating up on you. I didn't mean to do that, but I know it's the vegan Nazi.
Right after this, though.
But if you were saving lives for a living, if you're living the saving lives, you excuse yourself. There's always a reason, but the way you say it, so people can digest it versus beating you up, is really what I have to learn. And we're all learning. How do we say it, and how do we change the world to have less suffering?
I don't know, but I'm going to go eat a steak and a bowl of ice cream as soon as we're done.
All right. Well, I'm going to eat some vegan ice cream. I'm going to send you pictures. Wait, I'm going to send you pictures. I'm going to eat lunch, and I'm going to send you my going to be better than yours.
You mean you're going to send me a picture of your food?
No,
I don't want to see
my food. I'm going to have chocolate ice cream. It's going to be coconut based. It's going to have chocolate chips in it, and my cake, I'm going to have Oreo cookie chocolate cake.
But see, Oreo cookies are vegan.
Yes, because they're not very good for you. Obviously, if cream looks like that and it's vegan, so what is that made of? It's some soy processed.
Some oil.
Oil. But we make Oreo chocolate chip, chocolate cake. Oreo cookie chocolate cake is vegan. And I got it from the restaurant down the block. When you come here, you're going to have the most fun. You got to come and bring whoever you want. Come stay with me. The Snoop Dogg suite. I'll change one of the suites to the Russell Peters, and because it's really a giant 2-bedroom house. It's a model for the house I'm building on the property. The yoga property will also have cryotherapy and stem cells and plasma injections and all the healthy stuff. So I'm going to build luxury suites on that property. And the suite you're coming, the Snoop Dogg suite, which is really a house. The house you're staying on the river next to me is going to be the example. So when you buy a house on the property, you know, if you did.
How much land do you have out there?
I got options and options. I want to build a place, a community, Samadhi circle where people can come and live healthy. And the funny thing, there's a school right there, the international school. Like the only thing on my property you can see is beyond the bushes. I drive my scooter out into the street. There's a school called the International School. There's all these different kids. And it's like,
what about,
you know, I know people are used to where they're from. I spoke to my friend. I said, come visit. I'm an American. I said, well, maybe there's something else to see. You're retired. Maybe you can come and live here cheaply. If you retire the postman, you come here, you'll be a billionaire. Why would you not come? You come, you know, and retire here.
You say so a billionaire?
I'd be a billionaire, nigga. You don't understand.
Because you're in Bali, is that why?
Right? How much is Misa Garang when they deliver it? Not from when they charge Westerners. How much is it?
20,000.
20,000. 20,000 rupiah is for a meal. It has a giant egg, it has chicken, and it has the rice, right? And it's 20,000. So
That means $2. It's $1.
it's $1.
1.5, sorry.
$1.50 for a giant meal. You know, that's pretty high. Wait, somebody paid 60,000, 6,000, 8,000 rupiah. Is that possible?
That's for the restaurant.
Not from the restaurant. No, the delivery, the guy in the bike.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Maybe with the delivery fees.
Yeah.
That's it.
Do you guys just want to talk to each other?
No, the point I'm making, I'm trying to make it. Okay, massage is $7, 100,000 rupiah.
$7? Wait a minute. That better include a happy ending.
Oh my God. I love you so much, Russell. You can go eat. I really could talk to you for hours because you got so much. You know, we didn't talk about how big you are, and I want to show that. I'm going to show you performing and somebody, huh? No, yeah, you're a little chubby too, nigga.
Nah, I lost weight.
Let me see. Fat. I remember. Oh no, you're all right.
Yeah.
But they tell you that because you're wealthy.
What? That I lost weight? That I'm fat?
That you're wealthy. You lost weight. Look good today, Russ.
No, I've been making sure I've been training jujitsu a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
When we get our age, not my age. Thank God for that. You're lucky for that. But
aren't you only, what are you, 60 now?
63.
63. Look at you.
When you get older, you got to take care of yourself. I get up every morning. I go to yoga. I know you worked out. I know you take care of yourself.
You've been yoga. You've been a yogi and a vegan for at least 20 years now, right?
Oh yeah, over 25 years or so.
Yeah.
But I started late, and I'm very lucky to have found it. You can always start. And I'm going to put out my book, Eat to Live, which is not only about diet, but it will have 50 recipes, but it's about yogic lifestyle, how we can live a little healthier in an urban environment, urban yogi lifestyle. And then I'm going to launch the yoga app, which will teach people, whether they're out of shape or not, they claim they're out of shape, but to do the moves that will start the process to promote more circulation in them. And I'm going to put out that school, I'm going to make the school online, and I'm going to put all these things together that are about health and wellness. And that's going to be my last chapter in my life, to help people. And I say, as yogis, we say, get them out of the suffering, to get them to be more present, more often, and happier. Because all of the body functions and things that you work on will never work until the brain is slow, when the mind is still more often. When the mind is still, happiness sets in, and that informs the body to clean itself up.
When I come out there, I want you to personally teach me how to meditate, because I can't shut my brain off sometimes.
You don't have to shut your brain off. Sit and be patient, and the mind will settle. The nervous system calms, and then the mind follows. Then the mind will jump around. You say, oh, I'm meditating. The mind will be busy, and it'll settle more. It just keeps settling. So when you come here, I'll teach you to meditate. Or we can always do it online. But you should. I send you a teacher from David Lynch for free. I send you Bob Roth. I send him to Oprah.
Please.
Gave me back, didn't you?
Listen, all I need to hear is free, and I'm in.
I'll have him do that. I'll have Bob Roth, who is the head of the David Lynch Foundation, teach you personally. That's my gift for you. All right. Anyway, Russell, I love you. Thank you.
You too, my brother.
All right. God bless.
And as you know, I will be calling you and harassing you whenever somebody's here hanging out.
All right. Do that, please.
All right. Peace.
God bless.
If you want another awesome video in our Black Excellence series, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.